Chuck, good to see you. Or see you. Good to see your name. Good evening. Evening, everybody. Good to see you. Evening. Oh, good to see folks. Awesome. I agree. Any day you can celebrate is a good thing. All right. A little more practicing for me. Evening, folks. Right. Yes. Carlton's talking about Richard Smallwood's choir training videos. Yes, Richard Smallwood, who wrote Total Praise, which we'll do right here at the beginning. Richard Smallwood, again, a really amazing, not just a great composer and songwriter, but an amazing choral director and worker of people working with singers. Really amazing. There's a video of him rehearsing Total Praise, and it's pretty awesome. He's correcting lots of little notes here and there. Evening, everybody. Good to see you. Happy to be with you here. We'll start with Total Praise, and then we'll really dig into Faure. I know we sort of dipped our toes into Faure last week, and today we're really going to dig in. We're just going to start with Total Praise, sort of a final once through all together. Many of you have sent me your recordings. They are fantastic. It's going to be great. You know, I'll say a few things about, well, it's about 6 o'clock now, so we'll get going here in a minute. But, you know, this MLK Festival always feels like this thing. We get back from whatever sort of holiday break we have, and then we go into the MLK Festival preparation time. It always feels rushed. And this year feels literally exactly the same. It feels like we are really on all cylinders trying to get something lovely and wonderful together, and we will. But it is definitely so many this morning, so many emails. I was, but all people working really hard. We have such great people who work with us here at the Loud and Crowd. You all are just so fantastic. So we'll give everyone a few more minutes to join us, and then we'll start with a little warm up, and then we'll get right to work. Again, if you need music tonight for either Total Praise, or if you want a PDF of the Faure, if you don't have your score yet or you haven't printed yours, those links are in the description of this video. Okay, so if you need those things, go ahead and pull those up and get yourself ready. I'm going to get a little so I can monitor myself up here. Always good to do. Oh, there's my voice. Okay, there you go. Awesome. So we'll start with Total Praise. Just give people one last sort of go at this before we start. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Misty. Oh, it's so great to see your names. We'll do a Zoom rehearsal here pretty soon so that we can see each other again. I know that's really important. The thought process, the thought process for starting on YouTube Live was it's really nice to have these archived for folks who can't be with us at the time, so that we can, the rehearsals where I'm really pounding out notes we can send around. It's much easier to bank these YouTube rehearsals and send those out to folks than it is to sort of take the Zoom call and do all that. You can record Zooms, of course, but this is much sort of easier, much more watchable later on. And so that's why we've sort of gone this route for rehearsals. And then we should do a Zoom one soon just to be together, which is so important. All right, it's 6:01. So I'm just going to officially say welcome, everybody. And I know usually these first 10 minutes, we have people trickle in and join us, but it's so good to be with you tonight. Every week is amazing. It sends me off into my week really inspired, just to be with great music and around with great people. Oh, Catherine, yeah, I know how to do both at the same time for sure. My hesitation towards streaming a Zoom call, which I've done several times, is always that not everyone wants to be. Some people might want to be on Zoom, but they don't all want to be on YouTube at the same time. So I kind of like doing either or. But yeah, no, it's very cool. Again, those of you, there's so many live streaming options out there, but we can actually look into maybe a hybrid-ish sort of deal. But I'll look into that. That could be a fun thing for us to do together. But nonetheless, again, welcome everybody. Tonight's rehearsal is going to be getting Total Praise down and just making sure we have it. We're just going to take a once over of that piece. We're just going to super technology overload. Let me tell you, I know. We're going to do Total Praise and make sure we all got that. And then we're going to dig into Faure. Next Sunday, we will have rehearsal, but at 4:00 on Sunday, our virtual MLK concert will premiere. Now, this will be slightly shorter than our winter concert. Also, it will be a little bit more of a sort of a memory fest of last year's MLK concert with video footage from last year, interspersed with Total Praise, interspersed with readings and other stuff. Again, we know we could not recreate the energy and the passion that is in our normal MLK concert. But we are going to try to make something really lovely and beautiful. And I hope you come and watch that and be reminded of some of our amazing live performances last year and know that we're going to get back to that. So those are sort of our priorities on that. And I can't wait for folks to see that. I got to get to editing that, but it's going to be awesome. And the recordings you all have sent in are great. If you need instructions for those recordings, go check your weekly email. The instructions are in there. Just a reminder that in an earlier email, it sort of was phrased like it would be all video that you had to submit. If you just have the time and bandwidth to send an audio recording in and don't want to mess with video, that is so fine. I'll take any kind of recording you send me. I can't really convert, vinyl or something. So don't make a vinyl record for me or anything, but any kind of recording you can send me, I will take it. I'm low on space. What should you do? Misty, I'll reach out to you separately about that. All right. So don't worry about it. I'll try to get you I'll try to organize my files a little better. I probably have a lot of stuff in that Dropbox. So don't worry about it, Misty. I'll help that. And if anyone else has tech problems uploading their video or something like that, please send me an email. I try to get back to those as soon as I can. So thank you all so much. Definitely can't get to it during this rehearsal, but after 7, I'll try to do my best to get to you all. All right, well, let's start warming up. Everybody sit tall or stand up, whatever you need. It's always just good to stretch our bodies out. Oh, my goodness. this way. This way. I'm wearing my old, now old Bach Festival t-shirt from undergrad. Always gives me great memories. We called it Bach Fest, so they made a Woodstock-inspired shirt that year, and it was fantastic. Cornelia's new here. Well, Cornelia, welcome to Loud and Corral. Welcome to being with us. If you need music, it's in the if you need music, it's in the description of this video. But here we are, stretching out. Roll your shoulders forward. Good. Roll it back. Good. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And sigh. Woo! All right. Now let's start with my favorite warm, just to get our voices going. Veil, 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 veil. Veil, 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 veil. Veil, 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 veil. Nice and easy and loose. Veil, 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 veil. 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 One more. Veil, 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 veil. Good job. Let's just now sing really nasally and real small. Ming, 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 ming. Go. Ming, 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 ming. 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 One more. Ming, 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 ming. Oh, one more. Ming, 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 ming. All right, everyone loosen up. Woo! Everyone swallow. Drop that larynx low. And now something a little more beautiful. Can we sing? Nivu, nivu, ni. 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 One more. Nivu, nivu, ni. Good. All right, please sing now. So one of the words we're going to work on tonight singing is the word Kyrie. Kyrie as in Kyrie eleison. And we really want to sing a lot of closed vowels. So everyone say ki. Good. Like you're locking doors. Say ki. Good. Now say ri. Ri. Good. Now say a. Good. So a like you're a Canadian. Real sharp. A. A. Good job. Now can you sing Kyrie? Go. Kyrie. Kyrie. Two more. Good job. Now let's get our range going. So let's do another one of my favorite ones I do all the time. I love to sing. Ready, go. I love to sing. 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 Two more. I love to sing. One more. I love to sing. Good job, everybody. All right, take out total praise or pull up to the total praise. Again, we're really just going to go over this sort of one time, maybe look at the amen at the end separately just to double check. It's probably the trickiest part of this piece. But again, if you really would love your recordings tonight, and I'll make sure there's space in my Dropbox so that Misty or anyone else dropping a video can get it in there. And again, if you don't have time to do a video, audio only is great. So follow the instructions for audio only, which is basically the same as taking a video, except you just use the voice memo thing on your phone, which is again what we did basically for all of our recordings in the fall and winter. And so again, just get me those tonight if you can. And just because you're at rehearsal, don't tell anyone. If you get them to me early this week, I should still be able to incorporate them. So I didn't say that, but I did. So again, feel free to get me those when you can. I know it's a lot. And I know everyone's getting back into their routines through this really tough winter that we're in. So I understand and know that, we are a wonderful big choir of wonderful people who, when someone can't do a recording, I know I got a singer who can, right? We're going to be able to help each other through this time and get through this. So if you weren't able to get something, do not feel bad about that. It is such a tough time of year. All right, total praise. Let's run through it all together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Here we go. And Lord, I will lift mine eyes to the hills, knowing my help is coming from you. Lord, peace you give me in time of the storm. Here we go. 1. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Go back to the repeat and 1. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Cut off. All right, great job, everybody. I'm sure you were just perfect. I heard you recording, so I know many of you can do it. Let's just do one quick thing, which is our amen. Everyone go to the top of the last page, page 4, measure 23, that second ending, amen, amen, amen. All right? So let's hear tenor and bass first. Tenor and bass at amen. So let's start with bass. Ah, that's your starting note. Tenor, that's your starting note. Ready, and 1. Amen. Here we go. Great job. All right, good. Now can we hear sopranos and altos at measure 23? Amen. Here we go. Ready, and 1. Amen. All right, let's go back to the beginning one more time from the top, and then we'll put this away for the evening. You can, again, on this YouTube channel are the recording tracks for this. And also the instructions are in your weekly email. And you can go and record these tonight or very early this week and get those to me if you would like to. All right, here we go. Total praise. Total praise. From the beginning. Back to the repeat measure 15. Here we go. 1. You are the source of my strength. You are the strength of my life. I lift my hands in total praise to you. Great work, great work. I can just imagine you singing it. I feel it. And again, when we get back in person together again, we will find a time to sing this together, because singing this together is where the real magic starts to happen. Level measure 23. So Chris, great question. The volume at measure 23 should be piano, but you don't have to work too hard to sing piano because it's so low for everybody. Again, we talked about this a bit last week in the sense that he builds the crescendo in naturally, right? So he knows sopranos and altos can't really sing that C with as much volume as a high note. So sing it with beautifully and easy as you can. So you don't have to sing it like mousy. Amen, right? Sing it full. But again, don't try to blast it or anything. Just sing with the most natural vocalism you can, because by the time you get to the end, you can really rock. It's a long answer to your question, but it should be sort of mezzo piano. But again, he builds the crescendo in naturally. All right, thank you, Chris. Great question. All right, everybody, that will be fantastic. Now let's do a little Requiem. All right, Faure, please. And open up to Introit and Kyrie. I'll give you a minute to get that out. Again, as a reminder, as we go through this, folks that are using the PDF. Now, in exciting news, and I don't know if this got sent in the weekly email or not. Sharon will correct me or tell me, and Sharon is so smart that she probably did this without me thinking about it. I would, everyone, you should all be aware that without Sharon, I would fall apart. So thank you, Sharon. But Tony found a free version of the Faure online that has all the corrections that are in this Rudder edition. I know many of you bought your scores. And so we'll make sure we send that around to you all this week to look at that if you want to print that one out instead of the other PDF that is below. But I will point out all those little discrepancies. Again, they're mostly little word things, little tiny things that don't make a huge difference, but we do want to be right as we head towards recording these in person and remotely. All right, so let's begin again at the very beginning of this piece. This opening of the piece starts with this sort of hammer blow. If you look at there, it's unison Ds in the bass. It goes like this. And then the choir comes in really soft. Then more hammer blows. Right? And I like to think of, if I'm thinking of this artistically and with image, to me, this is sort of that moment like, pow, heaven. What is going on? Right? What is this amazing thing? What is this sort of otherworldly feeling? And the choir comes in super tentatively. And then as we go in the harmony changes, and we talk about the light, the et lux perpetua, the perpetual light, forte, strange harmonies. Then beautiful harmony. Still. And that chord there is in music, we call that a dominant chord. It's a chord that tells us we need to go on to something else. And then that's when we go on, right? So let's look at this very opening, this slow opening here for a second, work on all the notes. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what the sort of the musical framework, what you should be thinking, and again, you can think and feel whatever you want. That's the magic of music in a group. Magic of group music is we each kind of find our own thing and it comes together to create this beautiful quilt. But for me, that's what this opening is. All right, so let's just give it a sight read first. No text. If you are at home, I want you to sing on D and do, do, do. Now, again, if you just want to sing on text, you could do that. But I want us, if you're uncomfortable with the text, and I really think it's important that we all sing on do, do, do. So everyone's going to sing on whatever your pitch is. So here are the starting pitches: bass, baritone, tenor, tenor 2, tenor 1, alto. All right, and then here's the downbeat first measure. 1, 2, 3. Here you go. 1, 2. One, two, three. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Off. All right, now let's take that part a little more. So can we just hear soprano and alto at the beginning? On do-do-do, obviously you're at your own home. You can sing on text if you want, but I think you should sing on do-do-do. So here's the alto note, and here's the soprano note. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, beginning. And one, two, three. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Altos, that last and that last note, you can never sing that high enough. That C sharp should be just as high as you can sing a C sharp. All right, let's go back, and as we're at the very beginning again, tenor and bass, tenor and bass. On do, sopranos, altos, you can sing along with us. We're gonna put this on text here in a second. Here we go. Bass, baritone, tenor 2, tenor 1. Here we go. Ready? And. One, two. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. 3, 4, 1. 1. Great. Now I want to take a break from pitches, and I want us all to speak the text. Now we're all speaking the text at the same rhythm at the same time, which is helpful. So again, as a reminder, I'm going to say it out of rhythm, and then we're all going to sing it. We're all going to speak the text in rhythm together. So everyone say requiem, requiem. Good job. Eternam, eternam. Requiem eternam. All right, next section of text. Dona eis. And again, that's that really closed A. Say eis. Good job. Domine. Et lux. That's the best word in Latin. Light. Lux. Lux is literally light. Say et lux. Et lux perpetua, perpetua, just like perpetual, perpetua. Then luceat, that C is a ch sound, okay? Luceat, luceat, luceat eis. Now, a quick thing. Some of you, I encourage you to go listen to as many different recordings of the Faure Requiem as you can. Some, you might hear them pronounce the Latin in a really funky, kind of cool way. They're pronouncing French Latin. Now, this is a very nerdy, truly very nerdy thing, where Latin pronunciation was not standardized until sort of somewhere in the 1800s, early 1900s. So there were sort of regional dialects of Latin. So there was French Latin and Germanic Latin. And sometimes some professional choirs and some community choirs even want to be really fancy and sing non-Italian. It's called Italianate Latin is what we're doing. And so if you hear a recording and they pronounce something strange, do it this way. They're just doing a really sort of cool musicological thing. They're doing French Latin. You'll hear it especially in Baroque music. It's quite controversial as to whether you do it with the Faure Requiem, but that's too nerdy for even me right now. So now let's go back and we're going to speak the text of this first page in rhythm, and then we're going to sing it, and then we'll go on. All right, everyone, okay? Speaking the text. 1, 2, 3, 4. Requiem aeternam. Off. Dona eis Domine. Off. 1. Et lux perpetua luceat. 2, 3. Luceat. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Luceat eis. Luceat eis. All right, now let's try to sing that, and then we're going to go on. All right, here we go. From the beginning. From the beginning. Here's the big hammer fall. You wake up. This tone should wake up an audience. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1. Alto's really high. And then let's sight read on. Sight reading on, everybody. Let's sing on DDD. No text, just DDD. Here we go. Now, reminder, in this section we're about to read on, everyone's a tenor. Altos are tenors, basses are tenors, sopranos are tenors. You're going to sing it down in the tenor range. But if we all sing the tenor part here, it becomes this ghostly, amazing sound. So I have everyone sing this big unison line here that is notated just for tenors, but I think it's a little magical trick if we have everyone sing it. All right, everyone's at tenor. Here we go. Here we go, everybody. On D. What's going on? Good. All right, let's go back to that. For those of you in the rudder with me, it's measure 18. In the rudder edition of this, it's measure 18. Let's go back to. For those of you in the PDF, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measures before C. It's right when that tenor part comes in. Now, what I want to do is point out a few things to those of you on the PDF, just as another reminder, real quick. You've slightly, the rhythm we're going to do is slightly different than what you have, and so, for example, at this very opening here, you sing Requiem aeternam dona eis. So that this should on A should be a dotted quarter eighth note. Eis domine. And then going on, you should have a rest. So cross out that note that's there in the PDF. Again, if you're in the rudder edition you ordered online or the one you did before, ignore this. But you should have a rest right there and put et on beat 2, and it should go like this. Et lux perpetua. 1. Et lux perpetua. And that's the only little adjustment. And then at the bottom, people in the PDF, this is the second measure after D. The word should be requiem. Dona eis requiem. All right. And those are the only big changes there. All right. Everybody is going to speak the text right when the tenors come in. Again, those of you in the rudder, this is measure 20. For those of you in the PDF, this is 4 measures before C. It's right when the tenors come in. Carol's saying she's always wanted to sing the tenor part. I know, right? I mean, why, you know, and the thing is, everyone wants to sing it because it's this great line. And on top of that, when everyone's singing it in that octave, something about this, the sopranos and altos bring a softness to the tone there, and the tenors and baritones don't have to work so hard. it's a great little trick. My teacher taught me. All right, Requiem. We're speaking the text. Here we go. Slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, rest, et lux perpetua luceateis. Good. Now let's try putting that on notes. So this is measure 20 again, right where we started, on text and with notes. 1, 2, ready, a little slow. Rest. Et lux perpetua Good. Going on now. Speaking the text on this next Requiem section. Going on to measure 30 for those of us in the Faure. This is 3 measures before D for those in the PDF. All right, here we go. Ready? Speaking on. Requiem aeternam dona eis requiem. Off. 1. Et lux perpetua luceateis. Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's sing that. Measure 30. This is 3 before D for those of you in the PDF. For those of you in the rudder with me, measure 30. Requiem. Here we go. Ready and Requiem et lux Good. Everyone now, measure 20, measure 20, measure 20. Everybody. For those in the PDF, that's 4 before C. All right, everybody's a tenor, and then we're going to go on. We're going to go on to the beautiful soprano alto moment. All right, here we go. Altos, you can sing that moment that comes next with the sopranos if you'd like. Here we go. Here we go. Measure 20. Here we go. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine, et lux perpetua luceateis. I think this you're just marching through the mist. And Requiem aeternam dona eis requiem, et lux perpetua luceateis. You've been walking through the mist. You see something up ahead. And its beauty, here we go. All right, good. Before we go on to exalti, let's really quickly work on the soprano part. So again, in the soprano section, altos feel free to sing. Tenors and basses, if you have I don't know if you can beautifully do this, but if you can beautifully sing it, you can do whatever you want. All right, so this is measure 42 for those of us in the rudder. This is 2 after E for those of you in the PDF. And let's just look at the text real quick. So it's amazing. We talk about a rest eternal, or we sort of have this, for lack of a better term, funeral march, right? This march. And then we have this magic where we change keys and the angels are here. right? It's a totally different thing. Suddenly it's no longer a march. The footsteps have all been jumbled up. So here we go at te decet hymnus. Now, let's learn this text. Everyone say te decet. So again, that's another ch sound. Te decet. And in Latin, in this version of Latin, we don't pronounce H's. So it's hymnus. Everyone say hymnus. Say hymnus. Good. So it's te decet hymnus Deus in, not in Zion. So it's a Z sound. It's a Z sound. Zion. I'll say it again. Te decet hymnus Deus in Zion. Then the next line, or the next section, et tibi redetur votum in Jerusalem. Jerusalem. I'll say that again. Et tibi redetur votum in Jerusalem. Bravo. So now everybody go back. And this is two after E if you're in the PDF, and measure 42 for the Faure folks. And let's speak this in rhythm. 1, 2, slowly, and te decet hymnus Deus in Zion, et tibi redetur votum in Jerusalem. Oh, good. Now let's sing that slowly. 1, 2, ready. Oh, sorry. Starting at measure 42 or 2 after E. 2 after E for those in the PDF, measure 42 for the rudder folks. Here we go. Ready and. Before we go on, Michelle asked a great question. No, they are not all Canadian A's. So a good rule of thumb, and this is not always, is the accented A vowel or accented E in a word usually gets the more close sound, detur. So for example, te decet, right? Hymnus Deus in Zion, et tibi redetur votum in Jerusalem. Again, there's little exceptions to them. But yeah, and also when in doubt, Michelle, and anyone else who wants to get their vowels lined up, I always, when in doubt, I close them. So when in doubt, go Canadian. I will say that sounds like a slogan. Anyway, when in doubt, go that way. All right, let's do this one more time at measure 42, and then we're going to go on. I really want to get to the Sanctus tonight, but really have one more section to learn in here. It's a little tricky, but I think we can get it done tonight. All right, here we go. Te decet hymnus. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Breathe. Sight read on. Good. I want to do one section in this, and then we'll sight read to the end, and then we'll go to the Sanctus for the rest of our time together tonight. But let's look at exaudi. Exaudi means rejoice. Hear us. It says hear us, Lord, but it's exaudi. Hear us, Lord. But it's more than just saying like, oh, Lord, please hear us. It's like, hear us now. Exaudi, orationem meam. Hear our prayer. That's why it's such a bold moment. So can we? Good question. So, So George speaks from experience in this piece. Before we get to speaking the rhythm, there's a lot of enharmonic notes. And as a reminder for folks who might be new to reading music and stuff, an enharmonic note is a note that has two names, but is the same note. So for example, he's speaking in the tenor part, especially the tenor 2 part, which I'm sure George knows. And I thank George for bringing this up. You have C sharp in places, and then later on you'll have D flat. So tenors, as you're looking through your part, remember that C sharp and D flat are the same note. Also, altos, E sharp and F natural are the same note. You have an E sharp at one point, altos, and remember that's the same thing as an F natural. So your brain is going to want to sing a different note, but you got to remind yourself it's the same note. We'll get there when we pound out the notes here in a second. But that's George, thank you for bringing it up. That's so helpful. Let's begin with George speaks from experience. He's like, and I have too. I remember, we don't have time. Another anecdote about me not being able to, having a brain break moment. All right, here we go. Exaudi, everyone. So let me give you the text first. Say exaudi, such a good Latin word. Then this next one, o, ra, si, and that's like a TS, si, ora, si, onem, meam. So you'll say exaudi, ora, si, onem, meam. Then ad te omnis caro veniet, and luckily after that you sing Kyrie, that's easy. All right, let's go back and do this in rhythm now. So this is measure 50 for those of you in the Faure, in the Rudder edition of the Faure, and those of you in the PDF, look for letter F for you there. Measure 50 or letter F. And those of you with the PDF, it might be helpful if you went and numbered the measures in your score. It might be helpful for you later on in rehearsals. But anyway, letter F for those in the PDF, measure 50 for Rudder folks. Here we go. Exaudi, 1, speaking the rhythm, and exaudi, orazione meam. 1, a te omnis caro veniet, omnis caro veniet. All right, now let's take that apart note-wise. Let's start with tenors and basses. Tenors and basses, again, measure 50 or letter F if you're in the PDF. Exaudi. And let's sing it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1. Here's that enharmonic. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So again, measure 55 on Omnis Caro. That's that moment where the enharmonic's going to get you, tenors. Omnis Caro veniet, omnis Caro. And you stay on, tenor ones will stay on that note forever. Good, again, good reminder, George. Sopranos and altos, measure 50. Measure 50 for sopranos and altos. Letter F for those in the PDF. Exaudi. I won't kill you with my high F, so I won't sing it. And alto start here. Here we go. Exaudi. 1, 2, here we go. And 1. Stay on that note, alto. There you go. And 1, 2, 3, altos. You caught that. Measure 55 into 56. You sing an E sharp, and then you got it. That's an F natural. So just stay on that note. Draw a little line to remind yourself. So when you're reading it and recording it, your brain doesn't go after fixed notes. All right, let's sing this section, and then I want to sight read to the end. The end. It's okay if you mess that up. We'll finish learning, really knocking out the notes one by one next week on this movement. But let's just sight read to the end of this movement. Let's start at exaudi, everybody. Measure 50 or letter F. Exaudi. Here we go. And you notice the dynamic contrast, right? It's just this whole thing is about tension and release, this movement, right? It's about marching along and then being interrupted, and then you're marching back again. And this is definitely the big interruption of the piece. So we want to interrupt people's ears. Bass, tenor 2, tenor 1, altos. Exaudi, 1, 2, here we go. Here we go. And 1. Let's read on. Kyrie. Here we go. Kyrie. Here we go, and 1. The march is ending. 1. Awesome. All right, let's turn to the Sanctus. We'll go a little past 7 tonight. That is just fine. I love to be with you all. It brings me so much joy. All right, Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus. All right, holy, holy, holy. That's what we're saying. That's what Sanctus means, holy, right? Now, again, this is another movement where I want everyone to sing all the time. So the voice part that really has to make a choice about what part they want to sing is altos. I know we have some altos who feel themselves closer to tenors and some altos that feel themselves closer to sopranos. And you could play back and forth with which one. Now, you should commit to one, because one thing we're going to talk about here in this piece is that this piece is really just like, it is like tennis in heaven, right? It is the sopranos start... then the tenors and basses overlap and take over and echo what they said. Then the sopranos come in, altos come in again. Then they get interrupted. And then they interrupt and change the tone. And then the basses, they change it too. Whoa. And it's one of these, it's beautiful. It's an echo, but every time something subtle gets changed. And then it erupts, obviously, in our big Hosanna. So what I want to do is real quick, just look at the text, okay? So let's start at the very beginning. And so can everyone, it's tricky, but I want everyone to sort of scan along with me as I go through this text real quick with you. So Sanctus, that's easy enough, Sanctus. And then you all sing Sanctus Dominus. Sanctus Dominus. Sopranos and altos have Dominus Deus and Deus Sabaoth. then Sanctus Dominus Deus. And let's go through that section nice and slow. I think the easiest way to do this is actually to sing it slowly, because speaking it in this mode is not going to work as nicely. But so let's start from the beginning. This is the alto or soprano note. 1, 2, 3. Going on. Deus, Deus, Sabaoth. Good, let's just do all of that again. Go back to the beginning, and then we'll wait before we go on to Pleni sunt Caeli. All right, here's the beginning. Sopranos and altos come in first. And sopranos and altos come back in. Tenors and basses. Soprano alto. Tenor bass. Deus, Deus, Sabaoth. Pause. Now, going on, let's learn this text real quick. And again, remember everybody, again, it's hard to remember because we're learning in this world. I would teach sort of this way if we were in person, or if we were, and obviously as we're virtual, which is today what we're doing these first several rehearsals is we're framing things in, right? We aren't trying to learn every single note perfectly. We're trying to get a general idea and concept and learn the big concepts of the piece so that we can go back and learn notes more deeply later, right? I equate it to building the frame of the house before you decorate it, right? We're building the structure of the music so we know how it begins and ends, and so that we can then start to polish things as we go along. So if you feel a little overwhelmed or you feel like you're missing a few notes here and there, that is normal. That's good. It's a good thing that you have questions and that you sort of are starting to piece this work together. All right, moving on. Pleni sunt Caeli. For those of you in the PDF, that's letter C. Everyone else, that's measure 27. Here's the text. Pleni sunt Caeli. Again, that's a ch, and that OE is an A sound. Caeli. Pleni sunt Caeli et terra. Pleni sunt Caeli, that's heaven, et terra, earth. And then tenors and basses, Gloria, gloria tua. Glory to you, O God. And then our favorite word we love to sing going on, Hosanna in excelsis. Hosanna in excelsis. And again, a reminder, it's not Hosanna. In this version of Latin we're doing, you don't pronounce the H, so it's Hosanna. Hosanna in excelsis. Hosanna in excelsis. And that's what we sing basically to the end of the piece. So let's sing this thing. Letter C for those in the PDF, measure 27 for the rudder folks. Here we go. Here we go, sopranos and altos. 1, 2, and. Tenor bass. Gloria, gloria tua. Sopranos, altos. Oh, it's just amazing how he gets us there. And I also think what's interesting about this section, everyone, again, from a musical nerd perspective, starting at, again, if you're in the PDF, letter C, measure 27, you notice at the beginning, all of those early texts, you're all interrupting each other, right? It's almost like you're sort of not quite in sync, right? You're slightly interrupting one another. And then when we get to the stuff about heaven and earth, we start singing about heaven and about glorifying that heaven, and we sing praise, praise, praise. Suddenly, we're not interrupting each other anymore. I think that's totally intentional, right? Sanctus, holy, holy, holy. You know, it comes from the passage in the Bible where we're talking about the seraphims singing over each other, and it suddenly opens up, right? I think it's totally intentional. To me, this piece is a painting. It's a painting in music form, and that's what happens here. And the harmony happens too. It comes more open, more rangy. All right, let's go back to the beginning of the movement and see if we can bring some of that to life. And then we'll do our hosannas, our big bum bum, our big French horn moments to end the night. All right, everybody. Beginning of the Sanctus. Beginning of the Sanctus. Beginning of the Sanctus. All right, here we go. Here we go, sopranos and altos. And tenor bass. Here we go, sopranos. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here we go, tenors and basses. Hosanna in excelsis in and we come back. 1, 2, tenor bass. Good. Let's do this hosanna real quick before we end tonight. All right. So we're rooted in where we are in the music. This is measure 41, 42. 42 for those of you in the Rudder edition. It's a letter F for those of you in the PDF. This is our big hosanna. Now, this is for everybody. This figure, hosanna, you'll hear it differently in different recordings. There was a sort of a house way of doing it for a while where you almost double dotted it. Hosanna! It kind of was like that. Nicht so good, in my opinion. I think this has to be totally in time. So 1, 2, 3. Hosanna! Hosanna! And the problem is, you're just going to want to scream and sing your heart out when you get to this section, sopranos and altos, tenor basses alike. And I want that. We want that full body, powerful sound, but don't let it get in the way of your rhythm. Hosanna in excelsis in bum, bum, and almost, I mean, I would almost say a little accent on the Hosanna. I know the word is Hosanna, but I think a little accent on Hosanna really always catapults a choir into singing that correctly. All right. Can we sing that together nice and slow? Here we go once. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hosanna in excelsis Good. And then you see at measure 53, you come in on these chords. Tenors and basses first on song, then alto and soprano, and measure 54 on those little song twos. So you really got to count there so that you land in correctly. All right. Well, I want to run this whole movement one more time before we end tonight. But before I do that, I want to do a couple announcements. So again, next week at 4 p.m., we'll release our sort of homage to our MLK festival, and can't wait until we can do it in its full glory, hopefully next year. It's such an amazing event. And, you know, it's to be real with you, honest with you all, you know, I have such great love and appreciation for Sue and Sharon and Amy for really pushing and everyone who's sort of worked on the committee, because, you know, it's always tricky to get all the other choirs involved, but we have to remind ourselves that this pandemic, you know, we have been so lucky here at the Loud and Chorale to have an amazing community that wants to keep making music. We're so lucky to have people who are technically savvy, that you will have figured stuff out, because it's allowed us to keep going. But unfortunately, a lot of choirs just do not have the sort of that capability or that willingness. And I think that's totally okay. I think that's totally an option for this time. And so, you know, this year, you won't have the mass participation we're used to. But what that sort of, as I've been thinking about it today, you know, we'll show memories of their performances in past years, which I'm excited to reshare and to see the amazingness of the choirs in this region. But it also makes me think that next year, if we're able to get this back to some form of this, that it's going to be an important year to re-engage these choirs as they all work to rebuild. Oh man, yeah, Nancy, we definitely needed to sing tonight. I get to tell you, I'm always tired on Sunday nights, but I come here knowing that I'm just going to leave energized and ready to go because of you all. And then another announcement: if you look at the top of the chat, it's Loud Times Mirror Best Performing Arts Group. We're running for it again. You can vote every day through January 22nd. So please vote for us. We want to be Best of Loudon again in the Performing Arts Group. You know. We want to keep that title going. It gives us, and the real reason we want to be that too, as everyone remembers, is so that, you know, we can keep spreading the good word. Because again, I have real hope that, you know, we will, you know, be back to our full glory sooner than later. I really, really, really hope, and I have true hope, and I think some realism about that too. It might be different, and definitely there's some technological things we're never going to get rid of. That actually improve what we're able to offer here at the Loud and Chorale, but you know, it keeps us in the community. Yes, Misty, we will do rehearsal next week at 6. Yeah, the virtual MLK concert, it won't be that long, and again, it will be up for a while to watch. My hope is that we can send it to people and re-engage it on Monday on Martin Luther King Day, so that more and more people see it, more and more people contribute to the charities that we are supporting through that. To get a lot of eyeballs on it. But yes, we will still have rehearsal next week. And to that note, we will start digging into, the offertory, which is movement 2 of this piece. We got to start, it's the trickiest part of the piece. And I think we need to start digging into that. All right, let's end with the Sanctus, everybody. Let's end with a little mystery, a little magic. I always want to have a French meal after working on Faure. I want like great wine, stinky cheese, all that. Jane, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure someone in the chat can let you know, but it will be included in we've sort of gone back and forth between several. I am not the expert on that. I leave that to our capable hands of the committee and to Sharon. All right, here we go. Sanctus. Here we go, everybody. Sopranos out. Here we go. everybody. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Hosanna in excelsis and sol, soprano alto, and it ends so super simply. All right, y'all. Again, look out for information for us. Next week, we will have rehearsal. Look out for our virtual MLK and share it wide and far. Send in those total praise recordings. And, you know, like I said, you all inspire me. So my brain is firing with all the cool stuff we're going to do this semester. So what a great start. What a great couple start to everything. Yes, altos. Come back to the alto part on that last note. Yes. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. You're my favorite people. Bye, y'all. See you.